Hi everyone, this is Neel, Raithatha, consultant, audiologist and director of WAX. Thank you for joining me in this very challenging case. And I'm using the WAXscope. This patient did see, I'm saying another specialist, but they weren't a specialist. They were someone who shouldn't really be doing wax removal. As you know, in the UK, it's unregulated and we're getting a lot of unsuitably qualified healthcare professionals. So what I mean by that is you're getting physiotherapists, opticians, podiatrists, for example, attending 1 or 2 day courses, performing wax removal, and also non-clinical individuals. So we've recently come across an accountant, an electrician, a school teacher, also going on courses that would train anyone with a pulse, really. In any case, going back to the procedure, so they went to see one of these individuals. So they were a healthcare professional, but they weren't, so they were a podiatrist. And within a few minutes, the patient felt their symptoms worsened. So the individual asked them to use some drops and return to have a second attempt. And this is where this patient is also a bit guilty. So they obviously were kind of a bit traumatized by the experience, because not only did they make the hearing worse, so I suspect it got pushed further in, but it was a bit uncomfortable for the patient as well, that they decided to try and remove it themselves. So they used a Q-tip, which further impacted it. So, and they have got quite a narrow ear, so it's not an easy case. For this reason, I wanted to just challenge myself using the WAXscope. I'm using the size 2. In hindsight, probably could have used a size 1 just to kind of dilate, open the ear canal a bit more where we are now. You can see the canal just to the right where the specular is, but I had a decent view with the size 2. What the size 1 may have done a bit better, because the patient's got very hairy ears, it could have just pushed some of those lateral hairs you can see near the entrance out the way. But so again, I'm just using the size 2 to dilate. Now, because this patient had used a Q-tip cotton bud, it had really matted the wax. It really had pushed some of these loose wax up against this deeper wax, making it harder to vacuum. When you've got loads of hairs compacted against the surface of the wax, it's much harder to get a suction grip. And considering this wax is not loose, if it was loose, probably wouldn't have been as much of a challenge, but it's also been compacted. And what I mean by that, and I use this analogy with my patients when they've used the cotton bud or really impacted the wax. Imagine you're on the beach, you got your bucket and spade, and you shovel some wet sand into the bucket, and then you get the reverse of the spade and you kind of hammer it down. You can just imagine how impacted that soft sand is. And this is not too dissimilar. The key difference is that, we're working in someone's ear, which is a sensitive organ. So we're trying to layer by layer. And if you stay tuned, when I'm working on the eardrum, you can just see how tricky it was. And that's where we use the zoom function to get real clarity and magnification. So a lot of dead skin as well. And because they have compacted this wax, you will, spoiler alert, there is going to be some residual wet wax lining the canal wall. I wasn't too bothered by that. That's not going to cause patient problems. A bit of soft wax here and there is actually good for our ear. Ears produce wax for a reason, or at least we believe. There's no concrete evidence to say that wax is beneficial, but we believe, due to the kind of the physiology of wax, the components of wax, that the main health benefits of wax is that it helps to moisturize the skin. So unlike external parts of our body where we can apply moisturizer to keep the skin hydrated, with the ear canal, obviously you can't put anything inside because you're going to block the ear, you can't get access. So wax is a natural moisturizer. It's full of oils and lipids and cholesterols, which help moisturize the skin, and it helps the underlying skin maintain its internal moisture. So it provides a hydrophobic coating. Earwax is mildly acidic in pH, and the mild acidity helps prevent more harmful and pathogenic bacteria, and in some cases fungi. Fungi are less resistant to pH changes in the ear, but can also have a benefit there. Earwax also contains chains of peptides, so short chains of amino acids, which are, I think there's 13 top of my head, which are known to be antimicrobial. So it's kind of a, has a anti-infection property as well because of those peptides. The acidity of wax was also believed to be a natural insect repellent, but if you've been watching some of my videos recently, well, there have been some insects in there. In one of them, there was a lot of wax, but in the other two cases, there's no wax. So it could be that person's not actually producing wax in the first instance, and it's allowing the insects to crawl in. But I did have one patient where there was a lot of wax alongside the insect. What are the other benefits? Earwax is sticky by nature, so any dust, dirt, foreign particles that enter the ear stick to the wax. And in the majority of people, so I've never had to have my ears clean because my wax naturally migrates, and I do have waxy ears. So in the mornings when I look at my concha bar, I can see a bit of wax. I just wipe that away with a wet tissue, or when I'm just kind of, so I don't get water inside my ears, but I do obviously wash the folds and creases. And the way the wax naturally migrates is that the ear canal and eardrum is lined with skin. The skin is formed at the center of the eardrum, the umbo region, and the skin cells then migrate. So it migrates radially off the eardrum and then slowly from the deepest region of the ear canal to the entrance, where eventually then kind of flakes away and kind of just naturally comes out of the ear. And that natural migration of skin helps to transport the wax out, so the wax is sitting on the surface of the skin, so it's naturally pulled away. And wax should only really be secreted on the outer third. That's where the glands are, the sebaceous glands, the ceremonous glands, the main two wet ingredients of wax. And then it also amalgamates with desquamated epithelial skin, so that's the outer layer of skin. And when we say desquamated, it's when it kind of sheds, it kind of comes off the canal wall, and that process should typically happen on the outer third. So whenever you see wax very deep in the ear, you know it's been pushed in. Now, sometimes you might see patients with skin that doesn't migrate, and it can look like wax, but it's not. So that's different. That's not, they're not poking it in. It's just an abnormality in the ear where the skin is just not migrating very far off the eardrum, and then it oxidizes, it starts to look like wax. So slowly but surely, we're removing this out. So you can see I've zoomed in a little bit. So yeah, it was a very difficult ear. And this is the wax that's crusted, it's dried up on the ear. You can see some of the eardrum are, this is the patient's left ear, so posteriorly. So around 2 to 4 o'clock, you can see that blue tinge, that's the eardrum. But this wax has been pushed not right up against the eardrum only, so it's crusted, it's solidified, but it's also within the anterior recess to the left. And I think they got water in there. They're just, after their experience, they just tried to clean their ear themselves. And we are seeing more and more of this. I mean, we've been seeing it for a few years now. So it's really frustrating because what patients do, obviously, I understand they're price conscious. Now, my prices are a bit higher, but some of the people that shouldn't be performing earwax removal, they charge exactly the same as someone who should in most cases. So I know a really good colleague who charges a price which I feel they're undercharging, especially when you consider other people who are not suitably qualified nor skilled charging probably more. And when I asked them this as well, we're losing business, I said, well, be true to yourself, that these people will come back to you because they will go to these unsuitably qualified, because we know earwax removal is not easy. I mean, what you see on screen, ironically, so coming on to that point, that when people watch it on screen, you're seeing a big circle, you're seeing an instrument in the ear, it looks straightforward. It's not, it's far from it. Now, I'm not saying earwax removal is equivalent to brain surgery, that's not what I'm saying, so don't misquote me, but earwax removal can be really, really challenging. And I mean, I've had ENT tell me that, and ENT are, they're surgeons, they work in the ears. In some cases, it can be really complex. And on that same point, last week I went, so the WAXscope is currently being used in an NHS pilot, and I went to train a GP with a specialist interest using the WAXscope. Now, they are very skilled, they use an ENT microscope, and I've got a follow-on from that story actually. So when I went there, they said, see, they felt initially they did not require training because they're using an ENT microscope, and I said no, it's a different skill set. It's got nuances. And the reason why they felt that is that they watched my videos and said, well, that looks straightforward. So when they used the WAXscope, they're like, oh, okay, training is needed. And ironically, I trained an audiologist just the past weekend who hasn't really performed wax removal before. And I actually found it a lot easier to train them than the GP with a specialist interest in ENT. And that's not because they're more skilled with the GP that I trained last week. It's just because the GP who I trained, they've been doing it in a certain way, different certain technique. And with the WAXscope, it's slightly different. So the person who's never done it before, they've got a clean slate, if you like. And even that individual says, well, we watch your videos, it make it look so easy. Yeah, probably what you're seeing on screen here, it does look easy, but you're not seeing behind the screen, if that makes sense. You're not seeing me perform the procedure, how we have to dilate, the anatomy, to want to avoid X, Y, and Z in the ear, so it has to keep the patient comfortable. Yeah, but we are seeing more of it. I'm not sure what's going to happen with it, if I'm honest. So it is quite frustrating, but it is also happening in other parts of the world as well. Now, you can see the eardrum, there's a bit of wet wax there, so I'm just going to hover over. If it comes away, brilliant. If not, we're just going to leave it. Some of it came away, but it's just so impacted, it's embedded, so it's just wet. It's going to mop up some of the bits that can be safely removed. So you can see, because that wax is just wet, it's smeared, it's been pushed in, it's going to coat the canal. It just needs to dry out and naturally migrate. If we try and start cleaning all that, you're going to start lacerating and abrasing the canal wall. The eardrum is fully visible, that's key, that's what we want. So, and again, some of the specialists that I trained just at the weekend, they said to us, I mean, do we clean everything? Because we read some of the comments and they can be a bit nasty. And obviously they know that they shouldn't, but what I explained to them was like, earwax removal is not a car wash, you know. We're trying to alleviate the patient of their symptoms. So I encourage them at the beginning, even if you can just reveal some of the eardrum, even if not fully, and the patient's alleviated of the system, that's how you start off, that's how you gain your skill set. When you try, you know, remove every little aspect, you know, you can cause trauma to the ear canal. So again, even here, there's a bit here, and I do manage to get a bit more away because some of the dead skin and wax, it's elevated. So I'm just going to hover over, and whatever comes away is brilliant. And all the remaining surface wax, dead skin, we're just going to leave brilliant, and I'm happy with that. So this patient symptoms significantly improved. Really happy. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, speak soon. Bye.